in this series, I'm going to take you guys in a transparent way through the progress of this challenge. I'm going to give every signal, obviously, to the VIP Discord community, and the goal is to turn $500 into $10,000. Let's dive into the trades. What we can see over here is a separate channel in our Discord server where I'm going to take the trades for the challenge. Over here you can see the first entry for the Solana long, where I'm risking $15 on 2 different entry points, and the entries for the Bitcoin long position where I'm risking about $19. So in total, I'm risking about $34 of the starting balance of $500. I want to take you guys quickly through the trades, through the ideas of both trades before we see if the limits get hit and if we hit stop loss or take profit. So over here, I've been filling in the limit orders for Bitcoin over here and Solana over here. For Bitcoin, let's quickly go through the chart. We see a deviation of the range low, break of structure to the upside. Now I'm anticipating either an ABC correction to the upside, which I'm anticipating wave B to end inside of our limit entries before starting the impulse of wave C, or this might be a wave 1 in which I'm anticipating the second wave to retrace back at least towards the 0.5, fill our entry points, and then start the most impulsive wave 3 structural towards the upside. Alright, so basically trading a range deviation in confluence with our Elliott waves and also using the Fibonacci retracement tool, obviously, to identify the entry points in confluence with liquidity pools and imbalances. Now over here, what we can see for Solana is a similar setup. Also, deviation below the range low, right, followed by a shifted structure. We have an untapped liquidity pool above the range high. And currently, if we zoom in into the lower time frames, we can see that Solana has potentially confirmed a deviation below the mid-range level. Now, if we hold the mid-range area, we should expect a test of the range high. So I'm hoping for a quick flush to take the liquidity beneath these lows, tap into the imbalance on a 4-hourly time frame, fill our order, and then pump it to the range high, eventually to the buy side liquidity around $117 and maybe even higher towards $141. Now we can also go for the liquidity that is resting right beneath the mid-range, in which we sweep that liquidity, then reclaim the mid-range and then send it to the upside. So 2 potential scenarios, which is why I'm quite often using either 2 entries or 3 entry points. And the goal of this challenge, like I said, is to take a little bit of extra risk. So what I'm going to do is, once our limit orders get filled, and if we manage to get into profit on the trade, I will quite often be shaving a lot of profits and then reinvesting back those profits on pullback into the position. And that way we want to compound the profits along the way up. Now let's see if these orders get filled or not, and I'll quickly update you guys once they get filled or not. As you guys can see on the screen right here, I decided to add a third trade with a Chainlink long position over here, as you can see. If we dive into Bybit, we can see that we have our 3 limit orders ready over here. And if I'm going to show you guys the trade, you can see the chart over here. Once again, a range trade in which I've been seeing this 3 drive towards the downside, in which we took all of the liquidity that was resting over here, followed by a reclaim of the mid-range. Now also we shift the structure over here on the 4-hourly time frame and have flipped the EMAs on the 4-hourly, on the 2-hourly, and also once again on the 1-hourly time frame. Now we know that quite often the first retest of the mid-range won't be the actual retest. Quite often we see a second deviation beneath the mid-range, which I'm potentially anticipating either a deviation beneath the mid-range like this before expansion towards the range high, or maybe in this case we do get that perfect retest in which only our first entry will get filled. Now let's see if our entries get filled and if the trade will play out or not. Okay guys, this is day 2 of the challenge, and as we can see on the charts right now is that overnight our first entry for Solana got hit. What I am doing right now is that on the lower time frames we can see that we are seeing a strong bounce currently. So I'm tightening my stop loss to the local low that we see over here, as we can see. So now we only have very small risk, and I have been adding a position, a brand new position. I've been adding some margin with the same stop loss, and I've been adding $5 to this position with risk. So what we can see over here, if I go to Bybit, is that this is our current position. So you can see our average entry is a little higher. I've tightened my stop loss to below this local low over here. I'm removing the second limit that we had, and I have added a little bit of margin over here. As you can see, order history, what you can see over here is that I've been adding some margin over here, 1.2 Solana extra with a market entry with the same tightened stop loss. But this way, if we do get a push up from here, we compound our profits like crazy. Now, if we get stopped out at our stop loss, we are still only risking $5 of the $500 account. So basically, we have minimum risk, but if we do push higher by tightening our stop loss and adding some extra margin, we are compounding our profits in potential. Okay guys, a quick little recap. Yesterday, I ended the day by tightening the stop loss on Solana after the order got filled. Over here for the first entry, I showed you guys that on the lower time frames, I was spotting this potential breakout and break of structure on a 15-minute time frame. So what did I do? I tightened the stop loss to this local over here, and I added another position like this. As you guys can see, unfortunately the position got stopped out for a $5 loss on the account. Things like that happen. I wanted to add margin aggressively to compound potential profits along the way up, but I turned out to be wrong. Right now we can also see that Chainlink, in which we had this setup over here ready for Chainlink, front run our entry over here and already expanded towards our first take profit target. So without getting filled, the take profit target got hit, but that trade idea is now invalidated. So I removed those limit orders. But to replace those limit orders, we are looking at this potential setup right now on Avax. As you guys can see over here, I gave the exact signal and we are going to risk $17.50 on this trade. What's the reasoning for this trade? Once again, according to my strategy, we see a deviation below this range low, followed by a reclaim and a shifted structure on a 4-hourly time frame. To me, this is a very strong trigger to start looking for longs. We have this daily fair value gap that is also aligning with the discount of this impulse to the upside. So if we take the premium discount, we can see that the daily fair value gap is aligning with the discount of this impulse towards the upside. Second entry at the sell side liquidity low over here, because many people are looking to long the range low with their stop beneath this low. So I'm anticipating a potential sweep of those stops, and if we do, I want to use some extra margin to dollar cost average into our trade. And then this over here is a low time frame price action level on the 15-minute time frame. Targets very obvious after deviation of the range low, followed by a reclaim with a shifted structure. You should technically get a test of at least the mid-range, which is where we have imported liquidity pool with this week, and eventually a test of the untapped liquidity pool above the range high. Besides, Avax also still waiting patiently for Bitcoin to fill our long orders. So currently we got stopped out of Solana, Chainlink front run our orders and went to the take profit target, and now we are patiently waiting for Bitcoin and Avax to fill our limit long orders. As we can see over here on Bybit, patiently waiting for Bitcoin and Avax to fill our limit long orders, and as you can see in the account over here, we are in an approximately $5 loss on the challenge. Tomorrow I will update you guys to see if any of the orders got filled. Let's get it. Okay guys, as you guys can see on the screen right now, we are in a pretty profitable trade on FET. As you guys can see, around $7.80 in profit. And over here, you can see the reason why we were entering the trade. Because of this low time frame liquidity sweep and followed by this break of structure, I decided to go with an aggressive market entry because we also reclaimed the 100 EMA and we're testing the 200 EMA and moving average on the 15-minute time frame for the second time, and my higher time frame plan for FET was so clear and obvious. I've been stating about this, I've been talking about this for so many times this week, so I just had to anticipate this potential plan to play out, in which we have the range over here, range low pivots over here, as you guys can see, range high pivot over here, deviation number 1, followed by a shifted structure, and then we start at second deviation, which takes out the perfect retest after the first deviation. I've been teaching you guys those perfect retests, they are only designed to engineer liquidity. So I saw that the price was pushing down to give us a potential second deviation. I went on to the lower time frames on the 15-minute time frame. I got my low time frame confluence for my entry point over here. As you guys can see, as always, FET long. I gave the exact signal over here with the exact entry and everything included, and right now we have moved our stop loss to break even. On the other hand, we can see that I've also been removing the Avax long orders. Why? Because we are going for the buy side liquidity already over here, and unfortunately we have been front running our order over here on Avax. All right. On the other hand, Bitcoin though is still valid. I'm still patiently waiting for Bitcoin to hopefully go and fill these orders over here. But in the meantime, like I said, we're lucky for us, have this profitable trade running on FET in $8 profit. Let's see if it can continue to push higher to make up for our previous loss that we took unfortunately yesterday.